Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ModzvilleUSA here, back with another video. And today, we're taking a look at this. This is an Rp2040 Tiny from WaveShare. And this is an off-the-shelf part. You can get these on AliExpress. Tinier version of the Pico here, the Pi Pico, and it's wired up to a pin header. And would you believe me if I told you that this is a mod chip for the original Xbox, wired up all janky like? Now this is being called the Modxo, created by Shellx MVA, and yeah, tested and working mod chip using an Rp2040. Very cool, very neat shit. I already went ahead and tested it, but I'm going to be showing you today. We're going to be installing it in my 1.0, and we're going to do a little bit better than this janky thing. We're going to be making a custom board, so let's get into it. So let's get in a little bit of the lore here. PCBWAY was nice enough to send me these new boards that I designed for this mod. These are a work in progress. This is the first revision, so nothing final. I'm not going to be sharing it because things are going to be changing. Things are going to be getting added upon. LCD support is in the pipeline. Going to be spinning up a new board, routing things as the software develops. But this is going to clean up the testing process by quite a bit. So this dropped on the day this dropped on the Xbox scene Discord. I hit up Shellx, asked if it was cool, if I test it. I did. Couldn't get it working in my 1.4. Apparently that's because the L frame is not implemented yet, so you needed to manually jump the L frame in the later revisions. But that is being worked on the software end. So working right now, if you're going to be playing around and you don't want to do anything too gnarly, I'd recommend just testing it at 1.0. But yeah, day this came out, I went ahead, loaded up Eagle, designed a board. Hit up PCBWAY, asked if they could hook me up, and they got these made and sent them right over. And these look real sexy, real nice. I got these in a matte black PCB. We got a dick butt right there. It's a dick with a dick on his butt. Pico mod chip for OGXboxes. Before I designed these before there was a name. So the newer board revision is going to have the name. Got D0. I broke out the SDA and SCL pads here. Those get pulled from the pin header. Asked if we can do some D0 implementation, so we got a D0 pad. The newer boards have the MOSFET circuit going as well, and I just used the same circuit here that I have on my Xblast Genies for the LED. This will just cut on, is tied to 3.3 volts on the pin header, so the LED will cut on if the Xbox is turned on. If you pull it from 5 volts on the pin header, it's just on if the Xbox is plugged in, which is not ideal. You want to pull it from 3.3. Yeah, so we're just going to build this thing. I want to show you where we're at with the code. We want to put one of these together, soldering it from scratch. Pretty simple board. And I designed it with mainly the open Xenium pin header because I've got a bunch of those right now. Link down below on the mod shop if you want a pre-assembled open Xenium. Got the Xblast Lites, Xblast Genies, bunch of stuff, and we'll absolutely be making some of these when once it's a bit further along in development. So check down below if you want one of these Rp2040 boards. And in the future, we'll try to remember to add a link once they are available. And also too, if you want if you're willing to whip one of these up in the early state that it's in, you want to play around, hit me up on Discord. We got 50 of these bad boys. If you shoot me a shipping label, if you're in the US at least, whatever, if you cover shipping, I'll shoot one of these over to you if you want to test. Just be aware that some of the IO pins might switch around, in which case, you'll need to cut some traces, bodge it up accordingly. We'll see what happens, but for now, this is a much cleaner way of testing than something like this. This is a fucking mess. So let's build one of these. Nice sexy PCB. Pretty proud of it. And this will get cleaned up. I just needed something, and I was like, you know what, dick butt's pretty cool, so we got a dick butt. Okay, so we're gonna start with all the surface mount stuff. So we've got 4 right here, count them, 4 100 ohm resistors. I'm using a 0603 footprint. Nice and small, but also easy to work with, not like 0201, it's too small. 0805, that's a bit too chunky. So 0603, so 100 ohms, and we got the LED positive negative, nice and labeled on the silk screen, and I'll do 1000 ohms for the LED resistor. Then it's just the pin header and the Rp2040 tiny. So let's get into it. Okay, we get the 100 ohm resistors on deck. Tin up these guys right here. So I'm going with 1000, and then I'm just going to put in a basic blue LED 0603s for everything. Alright, let's do the LED. So the green line goes to the negative. And I think these are pink. And I believe they're probably 0805, so it's going to be a bit of a tight fit. It's not a big deal. Plenty of space to work with. Alright, next up is the Rp2040 Tiny. And this should fit the 0 as well. The only thing, the Zero, is it's got components on both sides, so it sticks up quite a bit, but it shouldn't be a big deal. What was difficult, the most difficult thing about designing this was I had to learn how to make a footprint in Eagle, because I could not figure out, or I was unable to find a footprint for this bad boy with through holes like this. This just sits on here and we solder it into place. Now, so far, there's quite a bit of unused I/O, and I believe this will be used for the LCD. So just with the Zero, the available I/O on the Zero, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we got, what is it, 5 volts ground and 3.3 volts. So, got a good bit of unused I/O. Now for testing, it might be nice to slap some pin headers on the unused ones. So plug in some DuPont connectors or whatever. If I need to test something though, I'm just gonna wire it up like a Chad, you know. But yeah, mainly just eyeballed this when I designed it, and you know, measured all that, just some printer paper, made sure it fit, and this is a nice, pretty nice fit if I do say so myself. We're just gonna lock that in. That alignment's pretty good. Pretty good. I could tweak it just a little bit. Yeah. Very nice. So let's tack it all in. All right, it's coming together, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's just a matter of slapping on the pin header, just like so. And I'm going to press it down just like this so it's not tacked in on a bit of a tilt. There we go. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have a DIY Rp2040 Modchip for the original Xbox. Dick butt there, looking very nice. So I'm going to clean up the flux, and we're going to get into the software portion of this, and then we're going to test it out. Okay, so if you come on over here to the GitHub, we've got a nice little diagram here. What we can do, it's coming over to the releases, boom, and just grab the latest zip here. We're on version 0.0. Give it a click, save it. Okay, so here's the zip. I went ahead and extracted it to this folder I have here. So let's take a look at the instructions. I already have some SirBIOS converted to UF2 files here. I already run this a couple times, but we're going to go over the process. So here, instructions. So we need to have Python 3. Go ahead and grab that if you don't already. We run flash bin to UF2 pi and then input the bin file. Flashing the file. So we want to flash the flash nuke.uf2 first if you already have something flashed to the Pico, and then we flash the Modxo uf2 and then the BIOS we created. So let's start by creating the BIOS here. So I already have a couple, so I want to go ahead and grab a fresh SirBIOS bin to flash to it. Okay, so we have the SirBIOS. This is just the raw, bare SirBIOS hybrid firmware v2.3.1 beta. It does not have the UDMA one, or UDMA specified in the name, so that means it's UDMA 2. Now this is important. We need to add some underscores or delete the spaces, otherwise the script will throw a tissy fit. So I'm throwing underscores everywhere there's a space. That's all we got to do there. And then here, I'm gonna click this, go type CMD, open it like that. So let's see. So we've got the, okay, so we just, yeah, that's right. So we just type the name of the Python script, space, and the name of the bin file that we're going to be converting. So I'm going to copy paste flash bin to UF2, right? Is that what it's? Yep. Name checks out, hasn't changed. And then we want to convert this one. So we're going to go ahead, copy this, Control V, boom, total blocks written, and we should have this one here, SurBIOS 2.3.1 beta. Yep, went ahead and made it. So now all we got to do is we're going to flash the Modxo, and we flash the UF2 that we created with the BIOS we want to use. So I'm going to hook up my Rp2040. Okay, so I like this about these boards here. It doesn't have the USB built in, but we've got a nice little breakout board here for USB-C, and it just connects with a little FFC cable here. So I'm going to plug it in. Alright, so it was saying setting up Rp2040. It's not over here. Pico's set up and ready to go. Okay, so we're going to come back. I'm going to push boot and reset. And there we go. So you hold boot, tap reset. There it is. So we flash them one at a time. So Modx0 V0 beta. So we flash this, and then we flash the BIOS that we made, BIOS UF2. And if there was anything flashed to it already, you would do the flash nuke. So we'll just go ahead and do it just in case. So this is the process: flash nuke, boom, nuke the Rp2040, and then we're going to do the boot reset again, bring it back up. Then we're going to flash the Modxo, boom. It's disconnected, pushing boot and reset, bring it back up, and I'm just gonna do the standard UDMA2 here that we just made. Boom. Very nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and unplug this, pull out the USB. We don't need it anymore. And then we're just going to hook it up, plug it into the Xbox, and see if it works. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is my 1.0 test Xbox. A little dusty in here, a little crusty. It's open a lot of the time. There's going to be lint, etc. But all you need is to have a pin header installed. This is in the X3 format. Ideally, you use the Open Xenium one, but we're just going to skip this top pin and plug it in starting from the second row there. Just like that. Now, as far as I know, D0 has not been implemented yet, so we have D0 grounded on the bottom side of the board. Cut to a picture of what that looks like. So it's pin header, D0 is grounded. Once it's implemented, you can hook D0 up to the D0 pad, and in my current version of the board, we're doing the Open Xenium style D0 with the bridge for L frame hooked up to a MOSFET for switching on and off, etc. So yeah, that's it. Pin header, D0 grounded. Now it's very critical. I mentioned that this is a 1.0. Initially when I tested, I was testing in my 1.4. Could not get it to work. Had to ask around. That's because L-frame not implemented yet. So with those, similar to that diagram we have on the GitHub, but I think a little bit gnarlier, you have to patch up the L-frame pin on the LPC. You gotta like scrape a via on this guy here and tie it to that. So if you've got a 1.2 through 1.4, I think you're just probably gonna want to wait until that gets implemented, so you don't have to scrape this MCPX-X3 chip here and tap into L-frame on that. Yeah, so we're testing in our 1.0 because that doesn't need any L-frame shenanigans. Yeah, that should all get figured out via software down the line, so stay posted. It's plugged in, D0 is grounded, 1.0 or 1.1 Xbox. That's all you got to do. For everything else, you might just want to wait for the time being. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're all hooked up. I'm on my phone here, so I'm just gonna push power. And we got the pink light. Would you look at that? SirBIOS is booting up, the one that we flashed. So yeah, you can choose any BIOS you want to flash to it. I'm choosing SirBIOS because I like SirBIOS, but rumor has it Prometheus OS is being checked out for supporting this. So that would be very neat if that ends up happening. So it's all working, it's all good. Looks pretty fucking sexy as is. And it's only gonna get sexier as more features get added. This is just an adapter board, really. I'll eventually make a board where all of this is just baked into the chip. But I like this for the DIY style of it. Nice, easy to build project. And would you look at that? Error 7, no hard drive. Makes sense. There's no hard drive. But yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's working. Rp2040 working as a mod chip on an original Xbox. A sexy little board I whipped up. Very neat. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, I went ahead and tested this in a 1.6 and got it working. So kind of just going off of this, there's a bit more to it than what we have here in the diagram on the GitHub. So disregard this. So since this mod is essentially a cheap mod, we're going to be looking more at this. So this is an LPC rebuild. I'm sure you're familiar with this at this point. This is using the wire method. However, there's one more wire and we need to rebuild L-frame. And as you can see here, there's this lifted pin. We're going to cut the trace instead. Now, if you don't want to do this, just wait until L-frame is implemented via software. But for now, to get this working on a 1.6, this is what I needed to do. So we're looking at this orange wire here. We're rebuilding the L-frame signal, and we're disconnecting it from here. So let me show you what I got going. Okay, so the yellow wires, this is all the standard LPC rebuild. This one here, D0 to ground, and this is the orange wire. This is the additional wire that is needed. So if you already have like an QSB, like an LPC rebuild on your 1.6, you'll also want to bodge this wire here going to this via. Then on the other side, I went ahead and slice this trace here. Let's see if I can probe it a little bit better so you can see what I'm talking about. We got this small via, that small via. Using an X-Acto knife, I severed the trace. Much simpler than lifting the pin. And if we want to reconnect it, so I was asking around, and so for these earlier ones, so by severing this L-frame trace or lifting that pin, it forces it to the LPC to try to boot from there. For with these earlier cheap mods. Now, majority of mod chips have all of this simulated in software, from what I've gathered. But since it's a cheap mod, since that's not implemented yet, we need to sever this, and we need to build that additional signal. And this is booting now, so there is that. I recommend, waiting for the software on this side, the side of this, to come along before installing one of these. In the meantime, anything like an open Xenium, my Xblast Lites or the Genies that I have, those are better chips, but this is cheap. You can make it easily. Just need to put in a little bit more legwork to get it to boot on anything later than a 1.2. The 1.3 through 1.5, you got to rebuild the L-frame by scraping a via on this guy. So yeah, the 1.3 / 1.4, those are gonna be like probably harder for majority people, because it's a pretty small via on these that you need to scrape and reconnect that signal. For 1.6, it's just a little bit more elbow grease getting this to work currently than a standard mod chip. But yeah, it does work. You can get these to work on any revision currently, and it will be easier down the line, hopefully, once the L-frame emulation gets implemented via software. So very cool. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give my final thoughts on this bad boy. What do I think of it? Why is this neat? I think it's very cool, very promising. Don't go ripping out your open Xeniums, your Latins, your Xblast Genies, your Jafars, your Xblast Lites. Don't go ripping those out. Don't go ripping out your X3 to install one of these in its current state. This is essentially a cheap mod, which boils down to just like a flash chip with a BIOS that's wired to the LPC. More code needs to be done to bring these up to par. Why is this awesome? Rp2040 is a dirt cheap development board that you can get these tinies for like $2-3. This is under $5 in parts to build, and it has a lot of potential to be even better than it is. So on here, this is a 2 megabyte flash. On the open Xenium, those are also a 2 megabyte flash. These are current parts, easy to get with things like the open Xenium, my Xblast Genies, the Xblast Lites. Those are using a whole lot of end-of-life parts that aren't going to be available forever. These are modern, current. Everything on here should be easily obtainable for a long time, so that cheaper cost and modern hardware is a pretty big deal. Very promising. So yeah, like I said, 2 megabytes flash on here, can even go up to 16. So if we get Prometheus OS working on this, up to 16 megabyte flash, that is a lot of storage for a lot of BIOSes. Get LCD support on a chip that's going to be very cheap to produce very cheap to get, very cheap to make. That's going to be a big deal. So this is absolutely impressive and something to keep your eye on. Has a whole lot of potential, but it's not in the position where I'd recommend ripping out what you currently got to install one of these, as it's not an upgrade from an OpenX Xenium yet. It's not even an upgrade from an Xblast Lite, from a Xblast Genie, Xblast Aladdin. Not even an upgrade from a vanilla Aladdin that's just running one BIOS yet, but it has a whole lot of potential to be. It's just a matter of the software pushing forward a little bit more, and I believe that it will get there. But anyways, that's my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Very cool project. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for Shalex for innovating, coming up with something super fucking cool, and you know, pushing the needle forward. And especially thanks PCBWAY for taking my design and making it something tangible that I can put together and show you today. Link below if you want to get some of these made. I have a link to these. I just posted them on the Discord if you want to download the gerbers, the bomb. Get some made, and you know, link to PCBWAY if you want to get some of these nice slick black ones with the yellow silk screen down below as well. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.